Hey guys, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be updated every time I make a new video. Thanks, let's begin. It starts off action-packed, but then trades everything it built up for a different approach. Invaders of the Lost Gold. Originally titled Horror Safari. Now I can't really show you the front cover and it's full on the slipcover because, boobies. But I can show you the inwards sleeve, which covers the boobies. This is the 1982 adventure thriller with crime, camo, and some chaos. This comes out today on June 22nd on Blu-ray from Severin Films. I got the slipcover edition and pre-ordered it when it was announced because it looks pretty cool. Check out this review before you purchase the movie to see if it's something you'd be interested in. The plot. During World War II, a bunch of Japanese soldiers hid treasure in a cave. Now, many years later after the war, they are approached by a treasure hunter to go and get the treasure and split the difference, or whatever it is. And they want nothing to do with it. They start committing suicide. Except for one of them, who goes along with it. Then an expedition is built up and they head off into the jungle. It takes around 40 minutes for them to even get on the river. There's a lot of time dedicated to setting up the characters and their importance, if there is any really at all.
Hey, Jake! Look at this big, bald, black bastard here.
By the time the first kill happens, which is a letdown, we're probably around the 50-minute mark. The stark contrast between the crazy action-packed opening and this choppy trek through the jungle is a bit jarring, to say the least. I didn't mind the editing at first. I actually thought it was pretty cool. Cuts were made every time there was a bullet discharge. And there were some gruesome effects that they didn't cut away from. However, the pacing was very quick and the editing didn't help. This is a less than 90-minute feature after all. The artwork for this movie kind of makes it look like it's going to be this really sleazy jungle adventure movie with cannibals and, snakes and crocodiles, and you get that kind of, not really, I mean, it's one scene per each. I mean, look at that. A man versus a giant snake, a crocodile approaching a seductively naked woman, and a headhunter's stick. Come on now. Do we get that? Mark Forrest. Really? Played by Stuart Whitman from Night of the Lepus and Demonoid. Is our drunken hero. He is a ladies' man, but he's way too old for the ladies he's going after. He did it for the paycheck. Rex Larson, played by Edmund Purdom, is the second biggest star in the movie. He was also in Pieces. He is the betrayer, the bad guy of the group. Janice Jefferson, played by Glynis Barber, is a big businessman's daughter who goes along with him into the jungle on their trek, on their skirmish, if you will. She is like the most strong and independent woman you could want in one of these movies. Cal, played by Woody Strode from Kingdom of the Spiders, is the big, nice black guy, and he is super supportive of everyone and tries to keep everything at peace. There's a lot of good he can do, if everyone wasn't so greedy. Tobiyashi, in his final film role, played by Harold Sakata from Jaws of Death, is the one last remaining squad member from the Japanese unit from World War II. And he's important until he's not. He's in the movie, he's the one who's going to get this whole thing started, and then when he actually goes on the trip, he doesn't really do much besides laugh a lot.
And he died?
Yeah, nobody wanted to suck the poison out.
Maria, played by Laura Gemser, Black Emanuelle from films such as Women's Prison Massacre, which I actually reviewed. You can check the review out up here, is playing her type. She, is kind of a good person, but of course she gets naked. And of course, it's a horror movie, so you know what that means. The other cast of characters are either not important or inconsequential to the overall plot. Well, besides Douglas Jefferson, played by David D. Martin, who is a poorly written character portrayed by a bad actor. Director Alan Birkinshaw, who also directed a film called Killer's Moon, does offer some stuff that works in the film. The as-before-mentioned opening sequence was great stuff. However, I feel they blew their budget after that point. Infamous exploitation producer Dick Randall was a colorful character. I felt he scrounged up as much money as he could, but in the end, could only afford limited effects after the battle in the opening. It's said that Randall could get loans out of anyone. He wasn't a con artist, though. He could buy a movie for $50,000 and sell it for 8 times that much. Dentists and other well-off people would supply him with a loan, and he more than likely paid it back, and given that they continued to do business with him, is a telltale sign that he was true to his word. Speaking of business, let's get down to the good stuff. The gore, the effects. Now, despite headhunters being a part of the plot, they're only in the opening scene. We get several bloody, decapitated heads, a spike trap that goes right in the worst place possible, and some more. After the opening, there's just a slit throat and some impaling. The blood is paint-like for the most part. It would have been okay in an early 70s movie, but not early 80s. The motion picture soundtrack, Francisco de Masi, who also composed Escape from the Bronx and Thunder 1 and 3, composed the music for this movie. It's actually anything but bad. It is, in fact, perhaps too good for this movie. There's a larger-than-life aspect to it, as well as beauty. The jungle rivers and caves come into life with the score. There are even some Japanese cues with strings that work in selling such a sleazy flick as this. Overall, they tried to juggle too many things, and failed for about 75% of them. It didn't have the budget behind it that it's needed. I don't know what the budget was, but it was presumably very low. This has Stuart Whitman, Edmund Perdom, Laura Gemser, and just a solid cast in general, pretty much. However, besides a few familiar faces, an awesome opening scene, and cool edits, this film fails. I really wanted to like it, but it takes too long and doesn't deliver in the end. Overall, I give Invaders of the Lost Gold a 1 out of 5. Now let's talk about the Blu-ray a little bit here from Severin Films. The Blu-ray transfer looks pretty good. It is overexposed in some shots, and the opening credits are hard to see sometimes. But it's much better than the original print, which I have seen on YouTube. For the special features, we have Rumble in the Jungle, an interview with Alan Birkinshaw, who talks about Dick Randall and how they met, got into the business, and came into making Invaders of the Lost Gold. He also talks about how the script was written daily while they were shooting. Bill James wrote the original draft, but the actors and actresses couldn't properly portray the lines written. He discusses the crocodile scene and how the owners of the park wanted to know if it was male or female. Alan says he declared it as male and that it never laid any eggs. One wonders if they just didn't want it in the park at all and were just delaying the answer so that they would just end up not using it. Also, the rivers they filmed in were used in Apocalypse Now. And I want to talk about tension. Stuart Whitman and Edmund Perdom wouldn't get up from the dining room table first, because they thought the first one that would have been of lesser importance. There's also another interview with Alan Birkinshaw from a little while ago that basically goes over all the same thing. without footage from the film to accompany it, making it a lesser experience. It's also more about Dick Randall than the film itself. The trailer is also featured, but that's about it for features. So yeah, it's got some interesting stuff about Dick Randall in the special features and a little bit on the film, but if you really want to watch this movie, I'd say stick around for the opening, and if it's not going to catch your attention by the midway point, stop. Wish this is worth picking up. I might watch it again someday, but not anytime soon. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I am Brian Gatto, the horror show host. Make sure to like, comment on, as well as share this video. Like my Facebook fan page and support me on Patreon, where even $1 a month will help keep this channel going on strong, and I'd greatly appreciate it. Plus, you get access to body counts and other music videos that you cannot get on YouTube because of copyright and age restriction. If you don't want to support me on Patreon, which is a monthly fee, you can always send me money through PayPal, which is a one-time payment. Any amount would be great. You can send it to horrorshow37@gmail.com. If you don't want to send me any money, you can just support me by hitting that notification bell to be notified every time I make a new video, and as always, subscribe.